Look, there's no doubt that in New South Wales we're seeing a very different way that they're dealing with the pandemic than in Victoria, and I think the New South Wales citizenship really need to get on board with regards to lockdown. So I think the next layer is being put on because at the end of the day it's about aggressive suppression at the moment until everyone who wants a vaccine has had a chance to have a vaccine. So the one great news story in New South Wales is that they are absolutely leading the ladder board when it comes to vaccination rates. So they're leading the country. People are putting their arm forward because they realise they need to get vaccinated if they want to stop these lockdowns.
There's no way to avoid the fact that most of the people who are getting seriously ill now in New South Wales are those who are unvaccinated and who have had plenty of time to get vaccinated. There are people in their 70s and 80s, they should have been vaccinated. So we really need to sort of pick up the remedial effort there. But looking at Israel, looking at the UK, looking at what else is happening around the world, we also as a country need to actually learn to live with levels of infection that we don't seem to be able to tolerate now, don't we? Because even with 80% vaccination rates, we are going to have hundreds of infections in this country, and some people, this will end up being a cause of death.
Well, I've always said that we want this vaccination program to move COVID from being a deadly disease to being a serious nuisance. So there's a difference between a case and a death, quite clearly. And so the point about the vaccination is we know that both vaccines, AstraZeneca and Pfizer, are almost equally effective at reducing hospitalisations, serious infections and obviously deaths. So that's why we want people to use vaccination as that next layer of protection so that we can start lifting restrictions, so that we can start going back to living with COVID. Well, we are trying to live with COVID because that's what people want. They don't want to have these lockdowns. No one wants them. We want to get to the other side. So vaccinating is going to be the best way to get there. It's the best way to keep yourself safe, your family safe, and actually it's the best way for the country going forward.
Are you worried about the differing methods and some of the slanging matches that are going on between the states?
Look, it is true that for Alpha, that Gladys Berejiklian used contact tracing because they had a really great team up there, and Victoria used lockdowns. Now, Delta has changed the game for everyone, not just here in Australia, as we heard in Israel. It's changed the game around the world. It's highly infectious and it moves with great speed. So there is no doubt that we've had to move to lockdowns right across the country. And as you know, there are so many millions of Australians in lockdown at the moment. And people are really struggling. They are finding this incredibly difficult. This thing's been going on for 18 months. They want to see a sense of hope. They want to be able to get on with their lives. And they're now understanding that vaccination program, with supply coming online now, they're understanding that AstraZeneca and Pfizer are both great vaccines. Their vaccines are going to help us get to the other side.
Katie, thanks so much for joining us. Have a good weekend.
Thanks so much. You too, Chris.
Liberal MP Katie Allen. That won't be much of a weekend. Lockdown in Canberra, waiting for Parliament to sit again next week.